Hey everyone, you're watching TV Central on CIB24.com, the show that keeps you in the know about all things TV. Now I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm flipping through the channels, I often find myself experiencing a wild bout of deja vu. I'm not talking about TV show reruns, but rather re-vamps. So I've decided to dedicate today's episode to TV show comebacks. Degrassi, The Next Generation, is one of the more successful comebacks to hit the small screens of late. Of course, the original TV show, The Kids of Degrassi Street, which later became Degrassi Junior High and then Degrassi High, aired from the late 70s to early 90s. Back then, you'd find the show on CBC and PBS. Now, Degrassi, The Next Generation has become an international phenomenon, airing on CTV and Much Music in Canada, Teen Nick and MTV in the States, and in countries all over the world, such as the Netherlands, Brazil, Australia, Mexico, Peru, Venezuela, Chile, and Poland. Its international success has probably played a role in the amount of seasons this Degrassi comeback has been able to pump out. Since its debut in 2001, it has lasted 13 seasons and seems to still be going strong. Some of the actors who've appeared in Degrassi The Next Generation have also done pretty well for themselves. Canada's pride and joy, Drake, otherwise known as Aubrey Graham, first won audiences over as Jimmy Brooks for 7 seasons of Degrassi. A bit lesser known but still worth mentioning is Lauren Collins. While she hasn't found international fame like her co-star, she has made quite a name for herself within Canadian television and even got to star opposite Antonio Banderas in the film Take the Lead. And then, of course, there's Nina Dobrev, the Canadian starlet now on The Vampire Diaries. She first turned heads on Degrassi between the years of 2006 and 2009. As far as revamps go, Degrassi may be the longest running comeback right now, but by no means is it the only success story. Beverly Hills 90210 was a huge hit in its time, and when Darren Star decided to recreate the show for a new generation, it was met with high praise. The revamp, simply titled 90210, didn't stray far from the original storyline of Beverly Hills 90210. When something works, you stick to it. The series introduces 2 siblings, Annie and Dixon Wilson, played by Shanae Grimes and Tristan Wilds, who move to Beverly Hills with their family and enroll in West Beverly High. Like Brandon and Brenda 18 years before, Dixon and Annie meet several new characters who comprise the rest of the cast. The series then centers on Annie and Dixon as they attempt to adapt to the infamous social drama of West Beverly Hills High, giving us viewers a glimpse into the lifestyles of the rich and famous. The new 90210 series lasted 5 seasons, and with the series finale airing not too long ago on May 13th, 2013. Moving on to another comeback success story, we have Battlestar Galactica. While the original series only lasted from 1978 to 1979, the reboot, created in 2004 after a popular miniseries in 2003, enjoyed 4 seasons and had its own wildly devoted cult following. The science fiction franchise centered on the premise that in a distant part of our galaxy, a human civilization lived on a group of planets known as the 12 Colonies, and that the 12 Colonies had lost a war with a cybernetic race known as the Cylons, whose goal is the extermination of the human race.
Action stations, launch Vipers.
Action stations, launch the alert fighters. Cam ready?
Broken formation, razzle dazzle. Don't let them use their targeting computer. Hold it together, guys.
Scattered survivors have fled into outer space aboard any available spaceships. Of the entire colonial battle fleet, only the Battlestar Galactica, a gigantic battleship and spacecraft carrier, appears to have survived the Cylon attack. Under the leadership of Colonial Fleet Officer Commander William Adama and President Laura Roslin, the Galactica and its crew take up the task of leading the small fugitive fleet of survivors into space in search of a fabled refuge known as Earth. It's a great series for any sci-fi junkie. Granted, it's no longer filming new episodes. That ended in 2009, but it has spawned a few TV shows and a mini-series of its own. If you live in the States, you can find all 4 seasons on Netflix, or in Canada, you'll have to settle for DVD or Blu-ray versions of the series.
It may be cold outside, but there's one place that's always, oh, so hot. Hawaii Five-0.
Hawaii Five-0 is yet another show that's making a comeback. After 12 seasons of success from 1968 to 1980, CBS decided to bring back the classic series in 2010. This time around, while the character names remain the same, the actors who play them have been updated, as well as some of the storylines and of course the special effects. Australian heartthrob Alex O'Loughlin, son of a legend Scott Conn, and former Lost star Daniel Day Kim make up the main cast of BA detectives, as well as Grace Park, who incidentally was a series regular on Battlestar Galactica. The series covers the actions of a small special task force created by the governor of Hawaii to investigate serious crimes throughout the islands, as Hawaii doesn't have a conventional state police force. Like its predecessor, Hawaii Five-0 is known for its explosive action, hot cars, and risk-taking characters. The show made it into the Guinness World Records in 2012 for highest-rated new show in the US, with a record 19.34 million viewers for its January 23, 2011 episode. Needless to say, Hawaii Five-0 definitely started out strong. While its audience has been gradually decreasing, it's currently in its 4th season, and if luck holds out, they will continue for a few seasons more. It's doubtful that they'll see a streak as long as the original series, but one can always hope. If you want to talk about remake flops, there are a few that didn't last long, and some that never even made it past the cutting room floor. Charlie's Angels saw huge success as a TV show back in the late 70s, and even spawned 2 movies in the early 2000s. But when Ivan Goff attempted to kickstart the franchise again in 2011, it didn't do as well as he'd hoped. In fact, while the show was picked up, it only lasted 8 episodes before it was pulled off the air. Some people said bad writing was to blame, others said bad acting. Whatever it was, the response to the show was unanimous, and the show was never given a chance to improve. You may be surprised to know that there's a pilot episode out there somewhere for a reboot of In Living Color, but apparently after watching it, execs decided it wasn't good enough and canned the project. Keep an eye out for a few remakes that are rumored to come back on the scene soon. A few months ago, NBC announced that Octavia Spencer will be starring in a contemporary version of the popular series Murder, She Wrote, which ran for 12 seasons from 1984 to 1996, and NBC plans to keep the same name. There's also been talk of a Boy Meets World sequel, for lack of a better word, called Girl Meets World, and possibly a new series that will look a lot like the late 90s TV show Charmed.
Then let's talk about frauds. You are looking at one of the biggest frauds you've ever seen.
Is it just me, or was Remington Steele, starring a pre-James Bond Pierce Brosnan, the greatest show of all time? For those of you who've never heard of it, it ran for 5 seasons in the 80s and was about a private female detective who wants to be taken seriously in an industry where only men are trusted to get the job done right. So she hires a former thief, played by Brosnan, to be the face of her detective agency, while she continues to do all the work. Hilarity, romance, and intrigue ensue. Sure, the premise may be a little outdated, but that's hardly something to worry about. I don't know if there's an actor that exists on this planet that could fill the shoes of the talented Mr. Brosnan, but it could be worth a shot. That's it for this episode of TV Central. Be sure to check back often for more episodes on CIB24.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For TV Central, I'm Larissa Benfey. Thanks for watching.